real-life Azure Dreams, a PlayStation title released in 1998. It's a roguelike with elements of a dating sim. Hey! Who the hell is this?
Oh, that's Petal there. He's cool.
Why is he jerking off to my game? Why is he even here?
His lolly dart must have went off. He can't help it, he's born that way.
Give me it! Stupid masturbating bear!
Let him stay. Trust me, he'll be helpful.
Fine, you can stay, but don't interrupt me. Before I load up Azure Dreams, I feel I need to explain what a roguelike is, because I've yet to talk about this genre in the show. A roguelike is a computer RPG game descending from Rogue. Like Wizardry, Rogue was released in the early 80s and had gameplay inspired by Dungeons & Dragons. However, the dungeons in Rogue were randomly generated each time you started a new game, meaning the exits and placement of items were always different. This gave the game a large amount of replayability. So, as a roguelike, Azure Dreams has the floors of each dungeon randomly generated, creating a new challenge and experience for the player each time the player enters. You might find a really good item on a floor, or the floor might have a variety of traps that get you killed. You never know with Azure Dreams, and that's part of the thrill. Most Japanese roguelikes use gameplay descending from the mystery dungeon games. Basically, every time you leave a dungeon, your character's levels reset back to 1. However, many of the items you find in the dungeons can be taken back into the dungeon with you. Mystery Dungeon games also offer you a way to upgrade the strength of weapons and armor, allowing you to create some pretty powerful items, and this is the only way to really create a powerful character in these games. So you could be a level 1 character with a plus 50 sort of badass that allows you to one-hit most enemies you encounter. At the time, Azure Dreams was distinct from their Japanese roguelikes because it had elements of a monster collection game like Pokemon. Inside the dungeon you can sometimes find monster eggs, and if you bring them back to your house you can hatch the egg, creating a familiar you can take with you back into the dungeon. Unlike your character, the levels earned by the monsters don't reset when you leave the dungeon, so the player has 2 ways to become powerful now: building powerful items and raising powerful monsters. You can even fuse 2 monsters together to allow one monster to gain the special traits of another. Bear in mind, however, that if your character dies inside a dungeon, you lose all items in their inventory, including the badass items you've built. So while Azure Dreams doesn't have the permadeath in most roguelikes, it still heavily penalizes the player for failing. That more or less covers the gameplay. The plot of Azure Dreams can be described as follows. You are a kid born in a village right outside of a monster tower. Because the monster tower is full of riches, it attracts a lot of adventurers from all over the world. The village's economy pretty much revolves around supplying, feeding, and entertaining these adventurers. Your father was a famous monster tamer who perished in the tower when you were a child. You've waited your whole life to enter it yourself because without your father, your mother has had a hard time making ends meet for you and your sister. She's like 4 years old! Anyway, when you turn 15 years old, you can finally enter the tower and seek your riches. Most of the story takes place between your tower runs by talking to various villagers, who might have quests for you to do related to the tower. One character that you'll encounter quite frequently is Gosh, and if his theme music didn't tip you off, he's the resident douchebag of this game. Gosh is the stereotypical rich playboy that hates you for being born on the wrong side of the tracks. Gosh is also your rival for the hearts of the girls in your village, and there are several of them you can date. You can even snag Gosh's own sister, which really pisses him off. I'll admit that a good portion of the fun in this game comes from collecting all the girls so you can watch Gosh freak out when they continually choose you over him. It's actually not even fair for Gosh to compete with you because he's such a giant asshole that he practically chases the girls into your arms. Now there is an old rumor dating back to the game's English release. This rumor says that in the Japanese version you can marry the girls and that you can also date Gosh, but I can guarantee you that these rumors are 100% false. The only thing that was removed from the North American version is the Japanese voices for all the characters, which is too bad because I think the voices added flavor to the game. Anyway, among the girls you can date is Nico, your childhood friend with gigantic titties and runs around in hot pants. There's also Fur, who works at the furniture store and is something of a gold digger. Then there is Patty, the waitress who prefers men that pay their bills but will fall in love with you if you like her cooking. There was also Cheryl, the bedridden girl whose disease can only be cured by herb found in the top levels of the monster tower. There's also Vivian, a bar dancer with dreams of performing on a theater stage. Too old? What do you mean too old? She's like in her 20s, and she's a dancer. Who else is there? Well, there's Mia, this nerdy girl that lurks in the library, but is a total hottie without her glasses on. If you win the girls' hearts, they'll start waking your character up in the morning and even appear in the swimming pool area with swimsuits on, which is total fan service. If you don't have any girls in love with you, you'll get woken up by your little sister jumping on your ass. You can't date your sister. You need to go, now! That's wrong! As for your mom, she pretty much just functions as a bank unless you save the game. Out! Now! Now when you reach the top of the tower, there is a final boss of the game, although it's pretty much impossible to lose. So basically when playing this game, just try to get to the top floor in any state you can. You don't need to actually fight the boss because it's pretty much just one big cutscene. That said, among the PlayStation 1 games, Azure Dreams is one of my personal favorites, and I recommend people checking it out if it seems interesting. It's got tons of replayability, and if you're looking for a good entry to the roguelike genre, you could do far worse. The dating sim elements might seem corny, but the stories involving dates are usually pretty funny, and... That's it, you've interrupted me for the last time, you fucking bear!